Hey, everybody, it is Wednesday, and it is a great day. And it's a great day because it is Snipes and Stripes right here on nofilter.net. Me and my good friend who is in such, look at him. He is in such a zone right now because we have an amazing guest that we're going to bring to you right here on nofilter.net. We're going to bring on Martin Brodeur, Hall of Famer, arguably, and I say arguably, the best goaltender of all time. We're going to bring him on in a minute. But welcome everybody to another edition of No Filter. We are just crushing it here with Snipes and Stripes, and my partner has really created a bang over the last couple of weeks, giving us a lot of recognition. We have been just moving up the charts in terms of the podcast ranks, and our views are getting bigger and bigger by the week. So Tim Peel, I thank you for being just an absolute warrior week after week. And you know, I think people are going to really see why Snipes and Stripes is a different podcast than everybody else, and why we're going to, I think, take over. I don't know if we're going to take over a very, very popular podcast on Barstool, but we're definitely making waves. So way to go, buddy.
Thanks, bud. Good to see you. I hope you had a great golf trip in Cabo. And you mentioned the word warrior, and we'll touch on it later on in the show, but I'm wearing my St. Louis Blues Warrior hoodie right here. Shout out to all the veterans and the active military and service members that currently serve our country. We got a big tournament coming up in February. You might be able to make it. We'll talk about that later. But I first want to talk about Bet Online and thank them for being our sponsor. The holiday season is off and rolling with NFL in full stride and the NBA and NHL hitting mid-season form. BetOnline is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info with up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. BetOnline is the top spot for everything pro and amateur sports. And not just for the big four, BetOnline has info available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sports that is played, from MMA to international soccer. Head to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code BLEAV for your 50% discount. Welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts, buddy.
Well, the game just started.
Yeah, I see
the game
that.
just started, and I got my Whiskey in the Wild, who is also our sponsor here. So go to whiskeyinthewild.com to get the best whiskey that you'll ever have. Chocolate whiskey, chocolate orange. And I don't know if our guest right here likes whiskey, but if he does, I'm going to send him a couple bottles. And we are so thrilled to have, in my opinion, the best goaltender in the history of the game. And I don't think it's arguable. Martin Brodeur. Marty, awesome that you joined us. I really appreciate you coming on. Tim Peel reached out to you, and you're gracious enough to come on with us. Buddy, you look amazing. Thanks for coming on with us. How are we doing?
I appreciate that. No problem. Doing well. You know, just here in St. Louis, getting ready to get to a game tonight. To scout a little bit for the Devils here. But no, everything is good.
So you're scouting for the Devils, and you've worked for St. Louis, and you played for St. Louis. Tell us exactly what you're doing right now, because you've kind of made it really difficult when you retired and when you moved, which was crazy because you played in New Jersey for so long, and then you moved to St. Louis, and then you worked for them, and you went back. You got to kind of let everybody know like what you've been doing over the last few years since you've retired, and what exactly your role is in the game.
Yeah, for sure. You know, obviously everybody knows that I played for the Devils over 20 years. And at the end of my career, I made a little pit stop there in St. Louis for about 2 months, 7 games. And the city just grabbed me and wouldn't let me go. So I had to stay back. My wife loved it. My little one, now he's 14 years old, but he was about 4 or 5 years old at the time when we got to St. Louis. So we made St. Louis our home. But obviously, after retiring, I stayed on board on the management side with Doug Armstrong with the Blues, and left just on time while they won the Stanley Cup. I went to New Jersey, so I didn't celebrate all the work I put in for the first 3 years of my management career. But it's okay. It was good for the city here to hoist the Stanley Cup, and so fortunate enough, I was able to get back to Jersey, where I belong as far as the organization. A place, a fan base, and a place that really took care of me all my career. And right now, I'm just just the vice president of hockey operation for the Devils. So I'm alongside Tom Fitzgerald and McKinnon, kind of help groom this organization back to the success that I was able to live throughout the years.
Well, you know what, Marty, first of all, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. And I know you don't do many of these. And I concur with my partner, JR. When you talk about the best goalies in the game, there aren't too many goalies. Well, there aren't too many players that have statues in front of the arenas that their team plays in. And I thought of you the other day when Tristan Jarry scored for Pittsburgh. And tell me what, because I know you, to our listeners, I've known you for a long time, 15 years or so, or longer when I refed you. And we've had the occasional glass of red wine together. But tell me, did you have a little smirk on your face when Tristan Jarry scored? Because you had 3 yourself. So tell the listeners what that's like.
Oh, it's amazing. Whenever you have a chance, or just to take a look at a goalie goal, it's an event. You just see the reaction from everybody, from the bench, from the coaches, from the goalie himself. It doesn't happen often. It's really hard to do. So every time there's one, I know Pecorine did a few years back, had one in Chicago. Now Jarry got one, especially at home. So it's great too. They're great. They're great feelings. There's something so out of the box for a goalie because we're not there to score goals. But when we get a chance to do it, they don't say how many. It's just like, how many you can do it.
Just that you did it. Imagine the fact that you did it 3 times. I think Hextall did it twice. You did it 3 times. A couple other goaltenders have done it once. But you kind of changed the way that goaltenders play the game. Okay, and now you came in the generation of the butterfly, right? Whether it was you and Patrick Waugh were coming in at the same, pretty much that late. Well, you were early 90s. Patrick was late 80s, but you guys you did a little bit different. You had that same kind of style with the butterfly, but you also became a goaltender that came out of the net and you played the puck and you changed the way that teams forechecked and the way that defensemen played. What made you that type of player to get out of the net and be such a puck handling goaltender? Because it really changed the game for the generations.
You know what? It's a matter of the hockey sense that you have. I think as a young guy, I played forward and I played goalie when I was really young. Every time I had a chance, I was going to play forward and didn't like to get shot in the head. In the street hockey. So. And one night, my dad was a photographer for the Montreal Canadiens. And one night he came back and he saw Ron Hextall play. And he grabbed me the next morning and he goes, son, you got to take a look at this tape. This guy is like a third defenseman out there. And it always stuck with me. And I started working on my shot, my strength with my wrists. And the hockey sense I had I wanted to be a forward. I wanted to be a defenseman. So for me to go grab a puck and make a play. And obviously nobody could hit me, so it wasn't too hard. Just to be able to have the guts of doing it, fail at it, and do it again the next game. That made me like a good puck handler. And at the NHL level, I think you have to give credit to the coaches that coached me. They design almost like breakouts off of me, like the way we clogged up the neutral zone. So the team had no choice to give me the puck, like make bad dump-ins and me be able to grab the puck and get the game going.
Who were those guys? Who were those guys? Who were those?
Jacques Lemaire was Jacques Lemaire with all his his neutral zone trap. I think that the one that really, I know you'd shake your head.
I know.
It was successful for us.
I hate to interrupt you, but can I just say that ruined hockey in the middle 90s? That neutral zone trap ruined the 90s, and I know everybody that played the game is like, why did the New Jersey Devils ruin the game? But it's because they had a goaltender like you that they could really use as their third defenseman. And listen, yes, I say bad things and I hate the system, but the system worked and it worked for you guys. How did you guys feel in the locker room of that style?
Well, I think you have to have a buy-in from everybody, and that's winning will give you that. When you start winning and winning, you're like, wow, it's working, and then so we felt like, most of the big years we had offensively, we were still really good. It's just nobody could score against us, or nobody could really generate any offense against us. And that was the thing. It was just a matter of us winning hockey games, and you got guys buying into it. We had different type of guys that played in our lineup, going from the McGillneys to the Claude Lemieux, Stéphane Richer. Everybody came in and bought into it, and we just had a solid decor with Scott Stephen, Ken Danico, Scott Niedermayer. These guys played with me for about 10, 12 years each. I mean, you don't see that being, the teams to have longevity like we had back in the day with the Devils.
Well, and you know what, JR, you brought up Marty's puck handling skills, and it's obviously well known. And the other goaltender, Marty, was Marty Turco. And it really was brought in. A lot of people don't know why we have the trapezoid these days, but JR, it was brought in because of Marty and Marty Turco, the trapezoid, because as you alluded to, it was like having a third defenseman, and the league's like, you know what, we got to. Well, I'll tell you what, and Martin Brodeur knows this. They brought it in to increase scoring at the time because they weren't able to score on a team like the Devils because Marty was able to come in and handle the puck and fire it up the wall to a winger. So you mentioned your dad, and I've read articles about your dad. He was a photographer for, I think, 30 or 40 years for the Montreal Canadiens, right? And a lot of people don't know, but he also was a goalie himself, right, Marty? He won a bronze medal in Cortina, Italy in 1956. Did you watch him play a lot as a goalie growing up? And where did he play in Quebec at the time?
There was no tape of that at that time.
No.
So the way it worked in Canada, I don't know if you knew that, but the winner of the let me see, there's a cup. It's like a senior cup.
Well, like the Allen Cup.
Allen Cup, right? So the Allen Cup winner was representing Canada at the Olympics. It was not the best players of Canada.
Right.
And so my dad with Kitchener-Waterloo Rangers won the Allen Cup in 1956, and he was promoted to go and play for Canada in Italy and won the bronze medal. So for us, the Olympics was always a big part of my growing up because it was the pride and joy of my dad's hockey career was winning a bronze medal at the Olympics. And so, every Olympic year we were glued to the TV to watch these, the amateur play. And obviously my dream was not really to play the Olympics, was playing the NHL. But so in 98, when there was a switch and they allowed the pro players to participate in the Olympics, like my dad was so excited, like father and son be able to participate in the Olympic as a goalie for the same country. It's obviously for the same country, but it was an awesome time.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. You just rattled off some of, and listen, I played against you for many, many years, and everywhere I go, there's no question when people ask me who's the hardest goaltender to score against, that it comes out of my mouth as fast as humanly possible. Marty Brodeur is the guy that was the hardest, was the best, no questions asked. And I don't care. And listen, I'm throwing Patrick, I'm throwing Eddie, I'm throwing, Fleury, Luongo, Belfour, everybody in there, right? You just rattled off some amazing hockey players that you played with. Obviously, Niedermayer, Scott Stevens, who was an absolute beast, and Kenny Danico, who's one of my favorite people in the world. What was it like playing behind such unbelievable Hall of Fame type players and tough players? Like Kenny Danico, you go near the front of the net, and if Kenny Danico is not cross-checking me in the back of the shoulders or giving me the business in the crease, you're sticking your stick up between my legs and hitting me right in my taint and hurting me in one way or another. But whether it's between you or Marty, Kenny or Scotty, it was a bear. What was it like playing in front of those unbelievable defensemen, and not even the forwards, but those defensemen that you played with?
I mean, I was fortunate, obviously. I think Scott Stevens is probably the ultimate defenseman, a guy that could fight anybody, could knock out anybody with a body check and play hockey as good as anybody else. And I think my first year, he had 73 points. So people forget how good offensively he was at one point also. Niedermayer, the rest, it talks for itself. This guy is he's a beast, the way he skated, effortless. He could be on the ice for 35 minutes and, he would get back in the locker room. You wouldn't even know he played hockey. You wouldn't have any sweat on him. And Dano was probably the funniest guy I ever played with.
Do you think he's one of the most underrated? One of the most that he should get more credit for how good Kenny Danico was, because he was really, really tough to play against.
Yeah, he was tough, and you know what? It's one of those guys that wear the logo like a tattoo on him. He's Mr. Devil for a reason. He played the game the right way. But he's the funniest guy. He thinks he's the toughest guy in the world. And, some of the lines he had while we were playing, it's like funny. Like I would stop the puck and freeze the puck, and somebody would try to poke the puck out of me, and he would just come in and just kind of move the guy around and goes, "You see, Marty, this guy didn't want a piece of me, that's for sure." Just one line after the other, and he just made it like so entertaining to play.
Marty, let's get to your Devils. I watched the game last night, and I know you obviously watched it. I was excited to watch that game with the three Hughes brothers playing. You've got two of them, and Luke and Jack. Somehow you got to try to get Quinn on that team, but that might be a tough task. And I think he might be actually as good or better than Cale Makar. But you watch the skill set of these kids. Like Quinn is 24, Jack is 22, and Luke is 20. And our kids play here in St. Louis. I was driving to the rink this morning at 5:30, taking Bronson to a private lesson. I know Max does private goalie lessons and so on. Do you think the kids these days, when they come up out of junior hockey or out of college and they're in their early 20s or 19 or 20, do you think their skill set is so much more advanced than it was 10, 15 years ago because of all the other stuff they do these days?
It's not even close. I think the players these days, skill-wise, I think skating-wise, the edge work and stuff like that, stuff that they do, and I see it every day when I go to New Jersey and I see Jack or Jesper Bratt skate. I mean, I don't remember many players in my generation play the way they do. Obviously, it's a completely different era. I don't think these guys could really survive in the way they skate the puck with their head down and do whatever they want in the middle of the ice. It was a no-no when we played. But as far as the skill itself, the way they control the puck, the way they're able to receive puck, the way they're able to shoot the puck, it's really impressive. And it starts at a young age. Hockey's a big business now. If you don't do all that work, you're going to fall behind when it comes down to the high school and the junior. So it's important for any young kids to go out and maximize, the time that you have on the ice. It's not time to mess around when you go to practice. I always tell my son loves to have fun. I'm like, I know you could have fun. There's no way, but there's only in 1 hour, every 2 days that you're going to skate. So, make it count. And if you do that, and you're going to be at the same level as everybody to a certain extent, but the skill level and the way that, to me, yes, it's one thing about handling the puck. To me, it's the skating ability. It's the agility on their skates and the way they avoid, even though you see a lot of big hits in the NHL, if these guys weren't that good, it would be a lot more dangerous to play, because the way they see guys at the last second. I always say, like, when I look at Jack Hughes play, it's like I have a joystick and I'm controlling him.
Yeah.
Like I see, whoa, there you go. Like now I see the hole, but he's doing it live, like at 100 miles an hour. And that's what's so impressive.
So you talked about these guys being so talented and so good. And I'm looking at our chat line right here. And one of our frequent listeners, Keenan, had a question. He goes, who was the guy that was toughest for you to save? Who was the guy that was the most dynamic, could shoot the puck, that you kind of couldn't read? I mean, I remember I would come down on you, Marty, and you would give me the whole side of the net. And you literally would give me the whole side, and I would take that bait and I'd shoot it, and you just give it and you just laugh at me and I'd skate by, and it just drove me crazy. So it wasn't me that you just played with me, but who were the guys that you played against back in I think the best generation in the history of hockey, that you thought were the best shooters and the toughest to read?
It's funny. There's a couple of guys. I think, me and Jaromir Jagr played the same amount of years almost in the NHL together. So I think he's a guy that obviously he's a top 5, point getter in the league. He's definitely a guy that I have to mention. But a little bit off path, I think Zygmunt Palffy, that was with the Islanders at the time. really, really hard to read. You know, a guy would get like 2 or 3 breakaways every game on me. It's crazy how he got himself open, the way he shot the puck in stride. And another guy that had my number, and he barely played in the NHL, it's Alexei Morozov in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, he's probably scored every 2 shots he took, he scored 1 goal on me.
No way.
They called him in Pittsburgh, they had like the Brodeur Killer. That was his name. That was his nickname. I was so pumped when he went back to the KHL.
That's so great.
And I'm the only goalie.
Well, that's saying something when we have a guy like Mario Lemieux on the same team and Yager on the same team, and he's got that guy. That's amazing to me. What was Mess like? Because obviously you guys played against Mess many times, and it was that big call. We're going to win. You know, as a goaltender playing against him, that had to have been unbelievably not only frustrating, but what an amazing competitive edge. Best goaltender in the game against one of the best goal scorers in the game. What was it like playing against Mess, especially back in the '94?
Well, I mean, I think he was the heart and soul of the New York Rangers at the time, and so obviously, you know, everybody makes a big deal about his comments and everything. But think about it, in 1994, if you didn't have a newspaper, you didn't know what he said. So we found out afterwards that that's what he said. So it didn't really bother us too much at the time, thinking about it anyway. But he came through in his promise that he was going to win that game. So obviously for us, it was a building point in New Jersey to lose to the Rangers in '94. You know, we learned a lot about the process that it takes to be a winner, and we had to go through the New York Rangers, and '95 was our year to get the first one of 3.
Marty, when your current captain right now, Nico Hischizer, came into the league, I was reffing when he came in as a rookie. I was impressed with him. You know, good skilled player. But I've been watching him develop over the last couple of years, and because when you named him captain, I'm like, I don't know. Is this guy captain material? I don't know enough about him. But I'm watching last night. Do you remember the first period? Scrambled late in the first, and you guys are shorthanded, and he blocked a shot that for sure was going in the net. And I thought, man, that's pretty impressive. This kid's not that big. He's throwing his body in front of shots. Can you tell me a little bit about him and what he's like? Yeah,
Nico's grown into be an unbelievable leader for us. Obviously, a lot of expectation being number 1 overall. He's just a complete player. A little bit like a Pavel Datsyuk. I know they wear the number 13, so sometimes you want to compare people wearing the same numbers for whatever reason that is. But he's a guy that's really good in the face-off circle. Really defensively, like he kills penalty, he plays power play, he does everything. And like I said, he's been through the tough times in New Jersey right from his first year. Yeah. And now he's growing out of it, just like the Jesper Bratt, and now Jack is growing out of the tough years that we had in New Jersey and looking for more success. And, you know, coming up pretty soon. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but I think the future is really bright. And so Nico's a big part of it. He missed a few games early this year, and he showed that we're missing him. So he's a big part of the organization. And again, you know, for him having his English as a second language, so being a captain, you know, you have to operate the media, the fan, you know, address the team. It's been such a big change in the way, you know, his growth has been for the last few years since we named him captain.
As being a goaltender, we talk about the change of generations. Who do you like watching? What goaltenders do you think are really good in the league right now, and the ones that are more dominant? Like we see in Boston, again, I'm reading our chat, you know, you have 2 goaltenders that play back-to-back with Ullmark and Swayman, right? Number one, who do you love to watch? Who do you think the best goaltender in the game is now, and why? And do you think it's good having 2 goaltenders that go back and forth? Because you played a lot of games. Is it better to have a 1-2 tandem like Swayman and Ullmark have in Boston? Is it better for the long run into the playoffs? Because I've always thought about what you goaltenders think of the amount played and, you know, the level of players that are playing in today.
I think it's important to have two goalies that can play the game at a high level. The 50-50 split, that I don't know. I don't think that's good enough. I think a goalie, if you want to be a top goalie to come in the playoffs, you look at goalies that don't play more than 50 games and they get in the playoffs, it gets hard on them a little bit. And you know what? There's a lot of changes. Like every single year now, you see the team that's winning the Stanley Cup, they use multiple goalies. Yeah. Like we didn't see that back then. And so that's important to have depth in your goalie department, like we call it in New Jersey, regardless if it's in the minors. And you got Vegas, what they had to go through, last year with all the amount of goalies they used. And to go back to the questions that who I like, I think Vasilevsky is the best goalie in the NHL. Like to me, I see his size, I see how athletic he is, how engaged he is, how much of a gamer he is. Right now you saw that you get back surgery. He's back before the time. He's a hockey player. He wants to play hockey. I got to know him through the years, and I get a lot of respect for his game. But to me, it's a goalie that wants to work a little too. You say like a goalie I like to play. It's old school. I love watching Fleury play. I love a poke check once in a while. Maybe stack the pad. Not too often. But it's still a game. You should have fun with it.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know we're not going to get any scoops out of you. That's not why we brought you on. But I know you guys have had some injuries this year. I don't even know what a pec muscle is because I don't think I have any. But I saw that Dougie Hamilton had to have
I have enough. I have enough over here for you, but it's not the good. That's not the good ones though.
But I saw Dougie had to have pectoral surgery, and I haven't heard of that much in hockey. Any idea? Is he back in the new year? How long he's out for? Do you think?
I mean, he's going to be a little while. I'm not sure exactly the timetable. I think he had the surgery, and I think when everything's going to swell down a little bit, I think they're going to reevaluate where he's going to be at. But it's definitely an unusual injury. We got lucky. We had a couple. Travis Zajac did it in the summer one time. It's obviously summertime and wintertime. Obviously, playing hockey timelines are so different. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get him. We'll get him at one point.
Listen, sorry, Timmy, because I know you got a couple minutes because you have to get to the game tonight in St. Louis. You're going to the Blues game, and we only have a couple minutes with you left. But I want to hear from you because I am dead fast, 100% convinced that you are the best goaltender in the history of the game. You won 691 games. The next closest is Patrick Waugh at 551. That is such an amazing difference when you talk about goaltenders. And you had 105 ties. Now, obviously, with all these goaltenders today, they're playing in shootouts. Ties are really non-exempt. Luongo's done really well with, he still has 124 ties. You have Fleury had 93 ties. All these guys are great. Even Patrick Waugh had 131. But you had 105 ties and 691 wins. Dude. You have to agree with me, and if you tell me I'm wrong, I'm going to retweet this 100 times and say you're a liar. You have to agree that they're great goaltenders, but I think you have to admit that in stats and the way you played, there's nobody that played the game like you in your position.
Well, thanks for saying all that. I think it's really proud of what I accomplished, and I hope there's a goalie that's going to be able to get close to me, but I think it's going to be really hard. I think it's almost impossible in the way that the game is played now, the way that goalies are utilized. So these records will probably standing for a really long time, if not forever.
How's that make you feel?
You know what? I feel embarrassed almost, like I didn't play hockey to be the best. I played hockey because I love playing the game of hockey, and I wanted to win Stanley Cups because I grew up watching the Montreal Canadiens winning all these Stanley Cups. And that's what I wanted to do, and got greedy after the first one and I was able to get two more. So it's all good.
JR, I know you embarrassed Marty there, and I apologize, Marty, but
I didn't embarrass him. I don't care. You know how many times he embarrassed me? I'll embarrass Marty all over the place. You know how many times I stood in front of the net and he took his stick and he put it right up the middle of my hoo-ha.
Yeah, because Daniel was beside me. That's why.
And I almost fell down. I almost threw up all over myself. The guy, he had everything that made you feel uncomfortable, that made you feel intimidated. And then, you know what, at the end of the game, most of the time you lost the game to him. So I don't care if I make Marty embarrassed. And I don't think he's embarrassed. I think he's really happy over there sitting there going, yeah,
exactly. I did do that. No, I just wanted to give you a little shot because I know Marty very well and being
very humble. Well, that's why we love him.
Here in St. Louis, I see him at the rinks and the golf courses, and we'll be sitting around having a drink, and half the guys at the table that aren't hockey fans don't even know what Marty did because he would never bring it up. So, JR, I'll give you the last word, but Marty, thanks for coming on today. Enjoy the Blues game tonight. Should be a good one against Vegas. I don't know if you're taking Max and Jen down, but I'd have fun.
Not really.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, it was an absolute honor to have you on, Marty. You know, you're one of my favorite people, not just hockey players. I've had the chance to play golf with you. I hope your golf game is good. I hope we get on the course again. I wish you the best with everything you're doing in the league. But, you know, to have you on our show is a really big deal. And I know you got to go, and I want to just say thank you.
Well, guys, appreciate you guys having me on. And just for the record, I've been listening to your podcast because I travel a lot, so I got time to kill. So I always, so I was like last week, I'm like, where's the new episode? So I'll be listening to myself next week, I guess. So thank you and good luck for the rest of the year for you guys. All right.
Thanks, okay. Well, as they say in your country, bon chance, mon homme.
Merci.
See ya.
JR, that was the best, buddy.
Really? Like.
Hey.
And I know I sound like a fanboy. I don't care.
No. I was just.
I don't care.
He's
one of my favorite people. He's one of my favorite people. One of my favorite athletes. Not just hockey players. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time because his grit and his grind were like beyond.
Well, we compare athletes. Everybody does it every day. We compare athletes by their stats. Well, guess what? The stats aren't even close. They're not even close.
No, they're not even close. It's almost like Gretz. It's like Gretz's record. Right. And by the way, we're seeing what's happened with Gretzky's goal record. Everybody's saying that Ovechkin is going to get Gretzky's goal record. He's not going to get it.
Well, that was one of the things we're going to talk about, right?
Well, it's a good way to transition into what we're talking about because Marty Brodeur's hit with the no ties. You know, that might hurt him a little bit, but still, I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury had 93 ties and 548 wins. I mean, he's still 153 wins away from Marty Brodeur. That's amazing.
You know what? When you asked him the question, and I was actually thinking about it the other day when we were talking about bringing Marty on, is you asked him about goalies he likes to watch. And I said this actually about a year ago to some people. I said, we had back in your era, Brodeur, Belfour, Cujo, right?
Yes, is Cujo a Hall of Famer? He was in the top 4, top 5 until Luongo and Fleury chased him out with you know with
the ties probably, right? Because
of
the shootout wins. But I think about the number of good goalies that were in the league back then. I don't think we have that many good goalies anymore. We have good goalies, but we don't have goalies that have the resume and the jam that the guys that I just mentioned. I'm sorry. We have Vasilevsky. And then after that, it drops off.
Yeah, Shesterkin. Yeah, Shesterkin, pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
Sorokin is pretty unbelievable. I mean, you have some goal. You
see some gross. No, you do have some good goalies, but I don't know if they're in the same caliber 10 years from now. If you're going to even compare them to the guys that I just mentioned.
I totally agree with you. And obviously, we saw what happened with the Bruins last year, setting the record for the most wins. And Ullmark had an amazing season. And Swayman had an amazing season, but I wouldn't even think of putting Ullmark in one of the best goaltender situations ever. Like I wouldn't do it.
Exactly. I agree 100%. So back to we got off topic. Back to Ovi. He's got 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points. He hasn't scored JR since November 18th. We're December 6th today. That is unbelievable. That's scary. He's on pace for 20 goals.
It's really scary. And it's even more scary that the guys that he's depending on are old or older. I mean, we've already seen Nick Backstrom is gone. We've seen TJ Oshie, who's getting hurt, who's near the end of his career. We have Kuznetsov, who is is either he's in or either he's out. He's either is in or either is out. There's no consistency with him. I don't see Ovechkin being able to play, even if he played till he's 44, playing on just the power play, to get 70 more goals in order to catch Gretzky. It's almost like the whole team is so lethargic and on a downswing that, I mean, they just got absolutely destroyed by the Arizona Coyotes yesterday. I mean, it wasn't even close. And
5-0, right?
The Arizona Coyotes deserve a hell of a lot of credit right now. And what they're doing, they've won 5 straight. They're beating teams that just won the Stanley Cup over the last 5 years.
All 5 teams, yeah.
And nobody's talking about them.
I know.
Nobody's talking about them. And granted, listen, probably they need to, because of where they've been for the last 10, 20 years, they're going to need to really put on a year-long push. But when you watch this team play, they have an identity. They have a system and a mentality that nobody wants to play against in the league today. You know, we just saw John Tortorella talk about a game last week where he said, we won, you know why? Because we have balls.
I know, I loved it. Hey?
We won because we have balls. And by the way, this is the league's trying to turn this into a no-hit league. Well, let me tell you something. When you go play Arizona Coyotes, you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
And it's going to be physical, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a defensive style of game. And guess what? A lot of these teams in this league today, they don't want to play that game. So the coach in Arizona has actually found a remedy, and they've found a way to make sure that they are competitive every night. And that's the play, the way that nobody else wants to play in the league. And that's in your face and hard and physical. I love it.
You know what? It really, at the end of the day, it sucks that they're not playing in an NHL building. That's why, you know, I said when I was talking to you yesterday, I said they're not getting any credit. They're kind of dismissed in the hockey world. It's because they're playing in a building that seats 5,000 people.
Yeah, well, that's the
Not the players' fault.
It's not the players' fault. That's management's fault. That's ownership and management's fault.
Right.
And Luke M on our chat just asked me a question. Would you rather play in Arizona or play in Buffalo? Are you shitting me right now? I would rather play in Arizona.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I'm going to the rink in flip-flops. I'm going to the rink in a tank top. I'm going to play golf after, and I know every single night I have a chance to win because I have a team that plays the right way every night. The Buffalo Sabres don't play the right way every single night. It's what are we going to do tonight? They put their stuff on, and they go on and they hope they win. And they don't go on the ice knowing what game the Buffalo Sabres are going to play. The Arizona Coyotes go on the ice, and they know exactly what they are going to do.
Yeah, you know what? That old adage where when hockey went to Southern California and to Florida, they'll never win because the players aren't focused, all that. That's a bunch of BS now. We saw Tampa win multiple Stanley Cups. We saw Anaheim. We saw LA. That does not come into play anymore. That was a thing that was said years ago. And maybe a bit of it was true at the beginning. Maybe guys were a little spoiled when Tampa got a franchise, but not at all anymore. And to your point, and I hate saying this about Buffalo, but they're losers, JR. They're losers. I like Kevin Adams. I reffed Kevin Adams in the American Hockey League. He played a bit in the NHL. He's a great guy. But guess what? They're doing a shitty job there. That team has not made the playoffs for how long? It's ridiculous. The Buffalo Sabre fans are one of the best fan bases in the league. You know this.
Unbelievable fan base. One of the best fan bases in all of sports.
They deserve better. Buffalo fans, Buffalo Sabre fans, Bills fans, but they're great sports fans in Buffalo. And the Sabre fans deserve better. And this is a loser mentality again this year, just like it is in Ottawa. We saw you know, I don't know if I don't think you ever played for Jacques.
You say that, and so usually what they tell us in television is to make a statement and back it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to back up what you just said. The Buffalo Sabres, okay, The Buffalo Sabres went into New York a couple weeks ago, or last week. Okay, the Buffalo Sabres go into New York, and they trounce New York. I think they beat them 6-0. Right? Was that the game? 6-0?
1 or 6-1.
5-1. 5-1. Okay. This was last month. This is 2 Mondays ago. Buffalo goes into the New York Rangers, the hottest team in the National Hockey League at the time, and they win 5-1. Okay. Their next game, they go home. Okay, and they lose. They lose. Oh, they go to Carolina. They lose 6-2. Okay, so that, which is okay. Carolina's a good team. Then they go home, and they lose to Nashville 2-1. Now Nashville should be a team that they should be able to beat.
Yeah.
I mean, Nashville's playing well, but they're playing with an identity. They lose at home 2-1. Then they go again. Okay, so Buffalo goes 2 nights later, and they're playing Detroit at home, and they lose 5-3. Okay, you can't have inconsistency of this magnitude and think that you're a playoff team or think that you're a real team to be considered, and it drives me crazy with this team. And there's more teams in the National Hockey League.
Ottawa's a carbon copy right now of Buffalo. Same thing. They last night.
Ottawa beat the Rangers last night again. Now what are they going to do? What's their hurrah? Right?
Exactly. And then did you see who they brought in today as an advisor to the coaches? Jacques Martin. They brought in Jacques Martin as an advisor to the coaches. Well, I've been saying for 3 weeks that they need to fire DJ Smith. I can't believe that it hasn't happened, because Steve Staios is the interim GM after Dorian got fired. Okay. So I do understand a little bit why Steve hasn't fired him, because is Steve going to be the GM, or are they going to bring somebody in to be the GM? And obviously, whatever GM they bring in, he would like to bring in his own coach. But DJ Smith is not the answer in Ottawa and should have been fired 3 weeks ago. And when you bring in a Jacques Martin, who, as you know, JR, is so well respected in this league.
Yeah, very much so.
So well respected. And they bring him in to babysit the coaches.
Yeah. I mean, it's really funny. It's really funny to read the chat line that we have. Just some of the and the reason why I'm hard on the Sabres is because of what you said. They have such a passionate fan base. And it's when I was working for that other network, a few years back, our best ratings that we had was when Buffalo was on. This team needs, and is it Kevin Adams' fault? I don't know, because he hasn't gotten a goaltender that is doing the job. His defense aren't doing the job.
But he's the architect of the team, so it is his fault.
No, listen. I'm taking this on. I'm taking this on Granato. This is Granato's fault.
Granato. But you're just saying you're wrong. You're contradicting yourself, because you're saying that it's Granato's fault.
No, it's not.
You're not getting.
You mean to tell me? Hold on a second. We saw what the Columbus Blue Jackets coach did a couple weeks ago, and absolutely rammed his top players into the ground.
And they're still losing. And they're still losing.
No, they didn't lose. They won 3 out of 4 games.
And then they blew a 3-0 lead last night to LA in the third period. Listen,
but a month ago they wouldn't even been in that game. So this is a team that's now competitive. That's playing competitive hockey. Okay?
Donnie Granato is trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit right now. Okay, you can't blame him for who they drafted and who they brought on as a goalie. The players, Granato's coaching what is
given. Who's got better players, Buffalo Sabres or Arizona Coyotes? Who's got a better roster?
Buffalo.
All right. So what you're just saying is out the window.
No, but Arizona's got a better goalie. Okay, Arizona's got a better goalie. They do.
At some point, the coach has to just lay the lumber, because he's going to get fired. So he might as well go get fired by making the guys' lives miserable hell until they realize and find an identity to play the game the right way. And for some reason, Granato doesn't want to do that, maybe because he doesn't want to hurt their feelings. But I mean, you have so many good players on that team, and you can literally watch that team, and just wait to see what they're going to do on a different course of night.
The thing is, I disagree with you on that, and you kind of caught me there with who's better, but up front, on the back end, there is no question that Buffalo is better than Arizona. Deline, Owen Power, they are stronger on the back end. But up front,
who's better up front? Tage Thompson? Who's a Tage Thompson on Arizona? Who's an Alex Tuck on Arizona? Who is a Skinner right now on Arizona?
Yeah.
Who's a Cousins on Arizona? Okay. But it's not about just the talent. It's about the heart.
Oh,
it's about the mentality. It's about the commitment to be tough to play against, to play a certain way, to have an identity. And for some reason, Granato can't get this team to buy into an identity to play the same way every single night, like Arizona does. And that frustrates me. And I'm sure it frustrates all the Buffalo fans. And I'm sorry to harp on Buffalo so much, but it's just, they do have some of the best fan base in the game. Let's move on. How about the great thing that happened last night? Watching you mentioned it with Marty, watching the Hughes brothers. Was that one of the coolest things in sports? Watching them play on the same ice, taking a picture together.
They had 5 points between the three of them. Quinn made a play at the end of the game to throw it at the net, and they tipped it in and shot it in and tied the game. And I was hoping it was going to go to overtime, and then I watched our buddy Rick Tockett's interview after, and he was pissed at the D-zone coverage, not just throughout the entire game, but at the very end when they just left Jasper Bratt completely wide open in front of the net to knock it in. But I'm amazed, JR, and you played the game at you were a superstar, but these kids right now, they're 24, 22, and 20, the three brothers. Like, it's unbelievable. How does that is. My wife even asked me, she goes, how do three guys make it? Three brothers. We see the Sutter brothers. We've seen a lot of other brothers.
The Stahl brothers.
There's been a lot of brothers that have played this year in the NHL on different teams, but to see three of them that are elite players is remarkable. I don't know what their dad taught them. I don't know what they had a rink in their backyard. I don't know what they did, but whatever it did, I want to copy it because it's unbelievable. They're amazing to watch.
It's truly unreal. And by the way, John Duffin, the Ball brothers in the NBA are absolutely the most disgusting examples of. So we don't even talk about basketball and Ball brothers, but I'm just had to say that I saw that in our chat line, John Duffin. No, we don't talk about the Ball brothers here because they're the most arrogant people in the world. But anyway,
their father.
Yeah, the Ball brothers, especially the dad. The dad might be one of the most disgusting, arrogant people I've ever seen in my life, and I hope I never see him on television again. But watching the Hughes brothers, you brought that up, like how they were raised. They have such passion in their heart, the way that they play. Every single shift, they do something that affects the game. And that's what I tell a lot of young players, and especially when I'm doing camps. If you go on the ice and you have a 45-second shift and you don't do something that catches somebody's eye, whether it's block a shot, score a goal, make a great pass, get a back check and stop a really good opportunity, you don't do something that affects the game, then you've just wasted 45 seconds of your sports life. And these Hughes brothers, there's not too many shifts that they waste that they don't do something pretty spectacular on the ice. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. They're remarkable to watch. Tommy Fitzgerald, when Marty went to work for the Devils, Tommy was just the interim GM at the time when they fired, I think, Chiarelli. And they weren't even sure they were going to keep Tom Fitzgerald. But he's done such a great job there.
Great job.
Fitzy's cousins with Keith Kachuk, and I know Tommy. I know Tommy.
But they're smart hockey guys, right? They're very, very smart hockey guys.
Smart hockey guys, great people.
Speaking of smart hockey guys, I think what?
1 sec. I'm going to see your buddy number 98 in your old jersey, the Blackhawks. I'm going to see him Saturday.
He's still playing great, man.
My son's playing in Chicago this weekend. And we've got 4 games up there, and our good buddy Panger hooked me up with tickets, and my wife.
That's great. Hey, listen, the kid's playing good hockey. Bedard's playing good hockey, and you know what? The class level that this kid has shown, with the most unbelievable barrage of negative media over this first 2 months of his career, and this kid continues to just play the game, keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
Played at a high level, scoring goals, and whoever started that rumor about what happened in Chicago, literally should have his knees batted down.
Yeah,
they should have his knees batted down with hockey sticks because that was so unfair.
But yeah,
it was so unfair. It was so disgusting. I saw Biz from Spittin' Chicklets talk about how disgusted he was on the absolute trolls, the Twitter trolls, the social media trolls that started this rumor, and all of them should be kicked off social media forever. It's such a joke.
Yeah, that's the sewer of social media, buddy. It's a sewer of social media. It's unfortunate, but I agree with you 100%. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing them. And actually, the Blues are going to be in St. Louis, so that'll be good. Blues, Blackhawks. You played in Chicago. If you're listening and you're listening to our podcast, try to get to a Blackhawks game, because you will never experience the national anthem of any of the 32 teams. It's not even close. My son Johnson, I said to him, be prepared, because you're going to be like, what is going on here?
And by the way, what's great? What is really good is the energy is back in Chicago. Even though they're 16-1, I mean, they don't have a great team, but the energy is back in that building. People are coming to watch Connor Bedard, and Connor Bedard is delivering energy and delivering what they want to see, and they're going to be patient because of that. Now, they're going to finish at the bottom of the league again, and we expected that, because there's really not much after Connor Bedard. But the energy in that building is second to none, and I'm so happy that that's there.
You know what? On another topic, I just thought of this about Toronto, because Klingberg, it came out today, Klingberg's got to have knee surgeries done for the year. Giordano's done. They tried to make...
It's probably a good thing. It's probably a good thing that Klingberg's done, because he's terrible.
Right, I agree. But they tried to make a trade for Leving, from what I've been told. He tried to make a trade for Zadorov from Calgary.
Zadorov.
And I read an article today, someone told me this, that he wants Chris Tanev too, and I would take Chris Tanev on my team 100% any day.
What an absolute warrior Chris Tanev is.
Warrior. I love the guy. And I read today, I forget who said it, but someone said that the owner of the Flames has told his GM Craig Conroy, I do not want you to make any trades with Brad Treliving. And because, I know. I thought that was interesting. There might be.
That's so dumb. Just so dumb. You're not going to make a trade with someone because you don't like what happened with the relationship, instead of just making your team better.
Well, he did quit on the team.
But make your team better. If you're going to make it, if you can make a trade, make a trade. Don't not make a trade if you're not going. If you can make your team better, make it.
I agree, but I don't think getting rid of Chris Tanev and getting a couple draft picks and maybe a first or second round pick is going to make your team better.
You see Tanev get his face. He blocked the shot right in his face. I mean, that was sick. That was sick. So I'll take Tanev all day long.
My point of bringing Toronto up, they are going to be an average team this year. They're going to be a good team. I shouldn't say average, but they are not going to blow the doors off of people because they are not strong enough on the back end, JR. They don't have the back end to defend. They don't.
Well, they got to score a lot of goals then. They got to
They
get into a lot of track meets.
goals,
So, I mean, what a great show, man. We did a great show. We have a lot of games tomorrow, and we have a great sponsor in Bet Online. And I think we owe Bet Online the privilege of hearing our picks for tomorrow. And I see San Jose. By the way, San Jose has been playing some really good hockey. They went into New York Islanders, who were 3 down and battled back. They've won 6 out of the last 9 games. And now we're not talking about them having the worst season in the history of the game. So good for them. But I think they're going to get trounced tomorrow by Detroit. I really do.
Well, so before you make your pick, I had a practice last night, so I was in the rink, and before I went went on the ice, I'm like, the line on Islanders and San Jose was 290. I think. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I should take San Jose. And sure enough, you watched it, right? They're down 4-1. They score 3. Then they score another one with 3 seconds to go in overtime. It was an unbelievable. I would not right now. I would not bet against San Jose. I'm telling you, they are.
Well, I am. I'm betting against them. Detroit. I think San Jose has reached their peak. I think they've been on a long road trip. They're going into Detroit. Tough place to play. I think Detroit comes out on top. I think they are going to play. They're going to play some good hockey, but. I mean, listen. I took Ottawa over the Rangers last night at home. That was, I mean, I was winner there.
Should have taken the game.
Yeah, I think Chicago's going to be Anaheim. I think Chicago's going to be Anaheim at home. Chicago's due to win. They've lost too many games in a row. They're at home in Chicago on a Thursday. I would take Chicago tomorrow, and the game I'm really going to look forward to watch is Philadelphia, Arizona. Do you know why? Because you got 2 teams that play the game the right way.
100%.
Battle hard. Yes, exactly, Matt Migley on our chat, because Philly has balls. They got balls, and that's why they win. That's right, Matt. Way to go on the chat line. That was awesome. And Arizona has balls, so this is going to be a great hockey game in Arizona. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Watching 2 teams battle it out. I would take the under on that game. It looks like it's 6. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I'll take the under, and I'll take Arizona by a 3-2 margin.
Well, and before I do my picks, you mentioned Torts earlier and just now. Shout out to him last week, also bringing that young man on the bench that had cancer. He had the headset. The kid, I think, was 9 years old. It was awesome. That's why I love.
Wasn't that amazing?
It was amazing. I think the young man's name
is talk about that. Talk about that, because a lot of people might not know what actually happened there. It was amazing.
So what the NHL is doing this year, and which I think is awesome. Hockey Fights Cancer was always in November, and it was like they tried to jam everything into November for whatever reason. But now it's throughout the year. So like in St. Louis next Tuesday, or next Tuesday, it's Hockey Fights Cancer, December 12th. Our good friend Kelly Chase, JR, has got leukemia. I was having lunch with him yesterday at the hospital. He's got
we love Chaser.
They did a nice video. They're going to show it. So what the league's doing, they're going to do it throughout the year. And John Tortorella brought this young man that's been battling cancer.
How old is he?
I think he was 9. Had him on the bench the entire game. Had a full cage helmet on. At one point, Torts is like, "Give me a chair. This kid can't see. This young guy can't see." And he gets a chair for the young guy to sit on. He gives him the headset to do an interview. It was awesome. That's why I love Torts.
And by the way, that's why we love the National. Listen, that's why we love the National Hockey League. Sometimes they get it right, and sometimes it's the teams, and the teams do the right things. And we know that that could be a distraction. And yes, the Flyers lost that game, but I don't think anybody cared that the Flyers lost that game, and not even John Tortorella, not even the players, because it was such a heartfelt moment to see a young man's life be altered, and a story and regardless of how long this young man lives, and hopefully he lives a long time in his battle, but he's always going to remember what the Philadelphia Flyers did for him, and that's absolutely special. So way to go, Keith Jones, way to go, Daniel Briere, way to go, NHL, way to go, Flyers, and I hope other teams do follow in that footsteps and do more of that nature.
And you know what? You hit the nail on the head, because that's what Torts said, because the Pittsburgh Philadelphia lost that game, and Torts said afterwards, he goes, let's put things in perspective. He goes, we lost a hockey game. This young man's battling for his life, like I said. So
boom. We're ending the show. We are ending the show on that note.
Drop the mic.
We are ending the show. We're dropping the mic. I want you to say that quote again, and I'm signing off, because that was the best way to finish a show. Say it again.
We lost a hockey game. Let's put things in perspective. This young man is battling for his life.
Love you guys. What an amazing show. What an amazing show. Thanks, everybody in the chat line. Thanks, Martin Brodeur. Thanks to NoFilter.net. Snipes and Stripes brought it again. Way to go, Timmy Peel.